for joining me today. I'm Jamie Delane Watson, and today we're going to be talking about the best way to display your photography prices to your clients. So we're going to cover options for displaying prices on your website, how to correspond via email or on the phone with brides who request pricing, and also how to reply to people who mention that you're out of their budget. All right, let's get started. There are three main ways to display your pricing online. The first option would be to provide no details at all, but just contact me via email or phone for more information about my pricing. Second option would be to have a starting rate, which is the one that I happen to do. So you'd have wedding collections start at $4,000, contact me for more information. The third option is to just lay out all of your pricing up front. These are what my collections cost, this is what's included, and then your clients can make the decision from there and contact you if your budgets line up. Now, I have another video where I go in depth about the pros and cons of each of these three options based on your unique business. I'm not going to recap all that information, so you can just click the link on the screen to be taken to that video. So regardless of how you choose to display your pricing on your website, eventually a client will email you, and then we have to respond to their inquiry. I wanted to give a quick list of do's and don'ts when it comes to responding to client inquiries. Let's start with don'ts. So the first don't would be, don't take more than 24 hours to respond. It's very, very important to be prompt when responding to your clients' emails. I think right away, if you take a while to respond, you're introducing some doubt into their minds about maybe how the experience will be with you. And so I really try within 24 hours, unless it's a weekend. And if it's over a weekend, I might be out shooting, or if I'm not shooting, I like to take the weekends off. So on Monday, I always reply first thing, and I let them know that exact thing, either that I was shooting or enjoying time with family, and that their inquiry is a priority to me. Another big don't would be, don't sound like a robot. Don't respond with no personality. Here's my collections, have a good day. Find some way to connect with them. Another don't would be spelling or grammar errors. Of course, mistakes happen, but we really want to proofread our emails, especially for that first impression, just to let clients know we care so much about their entire experience, and that starts from the first email. But let's talk about some do's. So do respond as quickly as possible, within hours on Monday through Friday. I don't see any reason why you can't respond within 4 hours to most inquiries if they're in those 9 to 5 hours. So that's really what I strive for. Another do would be making a point of connection between you and the client when they email. So I have a little section on my inquiry form where it says any other details about your love story. Sometimes people leave it blank, sometimes they fill it out. Even if they leave it blank, there's still a way for me to connect based on either their wedding month, their wedding day, in terms of, oh, I love Friday weddings, I got married on a Friday. I love that you're having an off-season wedding. I love that venue. I shot one of my favorite weddings there. Add something to your response that makes it seem like you spent time crafting this, because you did and you care about their wedding, so make sure that's communicated. And then the very last part of the email should be a link to all of your pricing information. You can include this in the body of the email, but I would recommend designing a beautiful PDF wedding guide for your clients that walks through a few details about yourself, your philosophy. I actually have like a full one-page bio in mind, so clients really can get to know me. I think the more information you can give about what makes you unique, and that's you and your personality and your experience, before they even get to full pricing, the better. So that's what I would recommend, and then I just say, like, attached to the bottom is my wedding collections. Let me know if you have any questions. After presenting your photography pricing to a client, either they will hire you or they won't. It's pretty simple. But sometimes you get these emails back that say, we love your work, we love what you do, we understand that photography is an investment and we're prepared to make it. However, your prices are just out of our budget and we're just wondering if there's any flexibility. Now there's kind of three scenarios here where I will not budge on my pricing. So I wanted to run through really honestly a few of those with you that hopefully will help you as you make these hard choices in your business. So the first would be if it's a Saturday in high season, sometimes even a Friday and Sunday in those high summer months. I have always booked a full season, so it's just losing out on money for me if I discount a collection when I could book a full collection. And sometimes I even explain that to the client. I think there's a way of explaining it really kindly. It's like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time. Your date is in high season, so this isn't really an option for me, but I wish you all the best. And when possible, I always try to ask, what their budget is if my prices are out of their budget, because maybe if they're, $1,500 lower than what I charge, there's another photographer who might be a little less experienced but still very talented that I can refer them to, and then I can pass along business that way to other photographers. The second time I wouldn't budge on price would be if it's a travel wedding. Already I don't charge for the hours I'm traveling. I charge literally just for hotel accommodation. Those are the same thing. Hotel, food, those hard costs. Everything else, like when I'm traveling 8 hours to your wedding, that could be hours that I'm in the office, but I'm not charging for those. So already they're kind of discounted, so that's just a no-go for me. And the third scenario where I wouldn't budge on my pricing would be if a client asks for a discount right away and I just don't feel like they really respect my work or that we connect much over email, like, oh, our budget is this, can you meet that, or something, where there's been very little correspondence or connection and it's just probably not the right fit for me. So after running through these scenarios, if there's a couple that you'd still really like to work with, now you need to work together to figure out a price that works for your business, because that has to be priority, the financial side of your business, so you can stay in business, and then also your couple's budget. So there's a few ways I approach this. First of all, you need to know your business numbers. You need to know how much you bring home from every wedding, how many weddings you want to shoot a year or can book a year, your cost for doing business, so your fixed costs and then some of your variable non-fixed costs, and some of those emergencies, whether that's equipment breaking down or maintenance, all of those things. There's a lot of costs associated. So you need to know the entire financial picture of your business before you can even begin to know how much to discount a wedding to book a client you really, really enjoy. And so if some of this sounds confusing to you, I'd really recommend my free pricing guide I just put together for you. You can download it just on the side of this video. There'll be a link. And there's lots of great information in there about how to figure out all these numbers for your business, as well as more tips about how to communicate pricing to clients, how to deal with discounts, how to increase revenue in the off-season. So lots of good stuff in there that I'd really recommend. Because I've done the hard work in my business to know all of my numbers, I know how much, if any, I can flex depending on the wedding date. So I'll present a price to the client. It's never a drastic price cut, that's for sure. But I'll present that price, and if they respond back and it works for them, that's awesome. I'm so excited I get to be a part of their day. And if it doesn't, we just move along, and that's it. There's really no back and forth after that. You really have to protect your business's value, and you don't want to be seen as just giving discounts to anybody who asks or come along. It needs to be like that heart connection for you, where you want to be a part of what's happening on that day. So most importantly, the end goal for any interaction with a client or a potential client is to leave a positive impression on them of your business. I had a really cool story a couple of years ago where I was photographing at a reception, and a couple came up to me who I didn't recognize, and they introduced themselves and they said, "Hey, we got married a couple of years ago. We emailed you and your pricing was out of our budget, but we just love your work so much. We're so glad our friends hired you. We're so glad to meet you. We just love what you do and wanted to say hi." And it was so sweet that it just goes to show right there that you can have a really positive interaction and your budgets don't line up, but they can still be like word of mouth referrals for you for years to come, and I didn't even work with them. So I hope that encourages you. I hope this gives you more confidence about how to approach pricing and communicating that to clients and knowing your prices so you can flex when you want and all of those details. So if you'd like to learn more about pricing and your numbers for your wedding photography business, be sure to snag that free guide. I promise you'll enjoy it. I appreciate you watching. I would love if you would subscribe and share with your friends. And until next time, have a good week.